I want to answer one of the questions I've always received from the ladies. This question says, "Sir, what happens to the dream, to the purpose, to the vision of a lady when she gets married to a man? What happens to her own purpose? What happens to her own vision? What happens to her own dream? What happens to her own career when she gets married to a man?" Now, I'll be answering this question making reference to the story of Esther in the Bible. But before then, I want us to remember, or I want to inform us that we have what we call the primary purpose of a woman and the secondary purpose of a woman. The primary purpose of a woman is captured in the book of Genesis, chapter 2, if you read verse 18. That's where God said, "For it is not good for a man to be alone. I will make for him a helper." So the primary purpose of every woman is to help the husband. No, let me go this way. The primary purpose of every wife is to be a help to the husband. To be a help to the husband to achieve the purpose of God for the family. Thank you very much. Thank you. To achieve the purpose of God for that union, the purpose of God for that man, and the purpose of God for the woman. Now, we have the secondary purpose. The secondary purpose is your destiny, is your calling, is your ministry, the assignment you received from God. Of course, we know that nobody come on planet Earth empty-handed. So we are all here on earth with solution to problems. Okay, so nobody is a nonentity, nobody is useless, nobody is a waste. So even the wives, they are not waste. So the goal of a woman, the vision of a woman, if they align, if she aligns them with her assignment with God and with her calling with God, with her destiny, you will discover that her purpose will be in alignment with her secondary purpose. That her vision will be in alignment with her secondary purpose. Before I continue, I would like to remind you that if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, please take a few seconds to do that right now. Hit on the subscription button so that you will always get notification whenever we upload our videos. Now, going back to the story of Esther, you discover that everything that happened around Esther was geared towards bringing her to the palace. Yes, and Esther's arrival to the palace, she arrived with the two purposes. She arrived with the two assignments, which is the primary assignment and the secondary assignment. The primary assignment is that she arrived at the palace first as a wife to the king. Yes, so she arrived as a palace first as a mother to the king's unborn children. She arrived at a palace as a helpmate for the king. And then her secondary purpose there at the palace is that she arrived with the purpose and with the mandate of God, because through her, God wants to save his people from the hands of their enemy. Now, it will be interesting for me to remind you that Esther did not fail in these two assignments. Esther succeeded both in her primary assignment and in her secondary assignment. Now, what do I mean by that? Through Esther, God actually saved his people, which is the secondary assignment. That's why if you read the book of Esther chapter 4 from verse 14, if you read the last line, Mordecai talking to Esther, Mordecai said, "Yet who knows whether you have come into the kingdom for such a time like this?" What time is that Mordecai is talking about? The time where Esther is demanded, or the time where it is expected of Esther to be a tool in the hand of God to save his people, which is her secondary purpose. Now, somebody will now ask, what happened to her primary purpose? Esther was a good wife to the king. Esther did not fail as a wife. Esther did not fail as a mother. Esther succeeded in her marital relationship. Somebody will now say, how sure are you that Esther did not fail in terms of marriage? Yes, because Bible did not record it, and research does not have the record that Esther failed. I know that Bible did not show us much about the family of Esther, but if you carry out your research, you will discover that Esther gave birth to children. She had sons and daughters. Now, among the sons of Esther, there is one of them called Darius. Darius grew up to become a king named King Darius II. And you know what it means for someone to raise a king, as at that time, That simply means that you did not fail in your family relationship. That means that the woman stood on her ground to train her children, to train the guy, to train the sons very well. So Esther did not fail in her place of primary assignment, and Esther did not fail in her place of secondary assignment. Esther delivered her secondary mandate, which is being a vessel through whom God will deliver his people from the hands of their enemy. And Esther delivered her primary mandate and primary assignment as a wife by maintaining a healthy family relationship and by raising a son who eventually became a king. You know, the challenge we have these days is that majority of the ladies we have now pay more attention to their secondary purpose, to their secondary assignment more than the primary assignment. But there is need for us to strike a balance between our secondary assignment and our primary assignment. Remember, we are not expected to fail in any of these two. And as a lady, you are equipped, you are empowered to succeed in these two assignments. So let's start thinking on how to bring a balance to our life, to our marriages, in such a way that we will succeed in our primary assignment and as well succeed in the place of our secondary assignment. If you are yet to subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button so that you will always get notification whenever we drop our video.